On this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast, our guest is Chet Hardaway, the owner and founder of findaprollc.com. We talked to Chet about why he created this website, which is a way to find all types of tradesmen in our area that he has already interviewed, vetted, checked out, and made sure they were licensed and all of that stuff, which is better than just going to Google and seeing who pops up behind it. We also talked to Chet about his experience as an appliance repair person over the last 16 years and which appliances he has in his house and which appliances he thinks are the most reliable. We also talked to him a little bit about mistakes homeowners make when it comes to their washing machines, their refrigerators, and their dryers. So if you want to know how to make your appliances last longer and which appliances are the most reliable, listen in.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden. And on today's episode, we have Chet Hardaway, the founder and owner of findaprollc.com. We're going to talk a little bit with Chet about what that is, which is a way to find tradesmen in your local area that have been vetted by Chet and his team. And we're going to talk a little bit about his background in appliance repair. He's been in the appliance business for 16 years. Some common mistakes that people make in choosing appliances and whether to repair or replace, as well as some of the other ideas he's got coming up as he begins to expand Find a Pro. He also has done some social media marketing and some branding work for small businesses, and we might talk a little bit about that. We'll see how much time we have. But before we get to that, we'd like you to like, follow, subscribe to this podcast wherever you're seeing, whether it be on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, or any of the other social media channels of the Best Johnston County podcast. Best Johnston County podcast coming out for well over 2.5 years now. By the time this one runs, right at 2.5 years. And we've had a lot of great guests. We're well over 120 episodes by now. So go back and listen to some of the previous guests. We've had most of the county commissioners. We've had the county manager. We've had lots of interesting businesses from just dog people. We've had an EOS coach. We've had realtors. It's a fascinating program we've got going here. If you love Johnston County as much as I do, this is the podcast for you. And we'd also like you to give us a 5-star review down below. It helps raise our visibility, which will help more people know about this podcast and help us get more great guests. Welcome, Chet.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for having me out today.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So tell me your name, what you do.
My name is Chet Hardaway. I'm the owner and founder of Find a Pro LLC. By trade, I'm an appliance tradesman, but now I'm going into helping out other tradesmen, getting some work and making sure the homeowner out there gets taken care of.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So originally I grew up in a little town called Washingtonville, New York. If anybody is a wine connoisseur, it has the oldest winery in America, the Brotherhood Winery. So I grew up in a tourist town. Lived there for 31 years. Then about 12 years ago, my family and I decided to come down here into Johnston County. And we started off in Smithfield. Now we're still in Johnston County, in McGee's Crossroads area. And it was just a change of pace. To be honest, New York, if anybody's aware of New York, taxes are high, price of houses is high. So it's just a lot of things going on in New York that nobody ever retires and goes north. So that's pretty much what I've heard many of time.
Well, the weather's better here too.
Absolutely. not today, but no.
Right. The weather's
generally
definitely
speaking,
better.
yes.
Right. The weather's definitely better here today. So how did you get started in the appliance business?
Basically, I was just in Lowe's home improvement store in New York. I was just basically a handyman at that time, doing kind of odds and ends. I was young, in my early 20s. And a gentleman met me in Lowe's, and I was looking at a refrigerator for the house, and he says, hey, you know anything about this stuff? And I said, not really. I'm looking at it just like you. And he says, well, I have an appliance company, and I want you to see if you want to come and help me. This new technology is coming out with Samsung and LG, and I don't want to relearn all this new stuff they have coming out. So we had a couple conversations, and then 2 weeks later, I'm working with them. And I went to school for LG and Samsung first because that was the biggest thing that he didn't want to step into. He was just the old school Maytag guy, wanted to work on Maytags, Whirlpools, Frigidairs, GEs, and that was it. So I went through that training for several years. And then I got to the point where he was like, hey, Chet, I think you're good enough to go back out on your own. I don't want to hold you back. And he gave me an opportunity to move out. Once I started my first business, he was very supportive. He actually helped me go to different schools for Frigidaire, GE, Electrolux, all those companies. So it was really cool to have somebody as a mentor from the beginning. I don't know where he is now, but he was a good mentor.
Well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. So you did learn, I guess, about each individual appliance as you went to the schools provided by those particular appliances. When you came to North Carolina, did you stay in the appliance business?
I did. When I came down here, I was still in the appliance repair business. I actually opened up a business down here. I had closed a business in New York. And yeah, I stayed in the trade, never really stopped, always did things here and there, get a lot of questions from folks that would reach out to me, family members, friends, things of that nature. But I've been in the industry, we're going up on 16 years now.
I got you. So when did you decide to start this sort of new thing, Find a Pro LLC, and why?
Okay, well, Find a Pro came out because I had several people in the community that would call for appliances, and they would say, hey, Chet, do you know a plumber? Do you know an electrician? I'm like, well, not really. And they say, well, usually what I found is most folks work, I'm just going to Google. I'm just going to go down Google and see who I come up with. So my general concern was, do you really know who you're getting? Are you going to go to one of these big groups where it's just kind of first come, first serve, whoever grabs it out the queue gets it? I wanted to have more of a local feel. So what I decided to do was build a network of plumbers, electricians, carpenters, painters, appliance men that are all vetted, licensed, and insured in their discipline, and bring them to the local area, just so that basically to eliminate the guesswork, to save time. For me, time is valuable. I'm sure for you, time is valuable, and for everybody out there, time is valuable. So to be able to go to my webpage, put in your basic information, we get you out to somebody right away, and there's none of that guesswork. So it kind of helps that.
Right. So you're sort of a middleman for people who need tradesmen.
Yes.
And so you have gone out and built a team of tradesmen that you know, like, and trust. And you're putting those tradesmen on findaprollc.com. If somebody goes there, what do they need to do if they go there, if they need one of these tradesmen?
Yeah, basically you just go to the website, which is www.findaprollc.com. Just has a basic landing page. Just ask for your name, phone number, email address, and the scope of work that needs to be done. It comes over to me and my team, and we get somebody to work on that discipline for you, whatever.
Okay. And then if I have a problem with the person you sent, these are not your employees. These are people that are
subcontractors.
They're subcontractors, right? Okay. Right. And if I have a problem, are you going to stand behind their work, or are they going to work directly with the person who provided the work?
I would stand behind it. It would probably be in conjunction with the individual, but if there are any issues, I would prefer them to come to me so we could take care of them right there on the spot.
I got you. I got you. So how many different trades people are you working with right now? I know it's fairly new.
Yeah.
It's only been going about 7 months.
Yeah, we're all majors. So we have plumbing, electrical, HVAC, carpentry, painting, and of course, appliance repair.
And I think you also work for general contractor.
Yes, there is a general contractor, great guy, Fabiano. He's out there somewhere, probably watching this right now, but he's a general contractor. And he helps me also sometimes connect the people, connect the dots. And he's been great to work with, and we're doing well so far. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. And so far, the clients that have used Find a Pro, you haven't had any complaints, I think you told me.
No, not yet. Everybody's been satisfied, especially with the response time. Like I said earlier, when you go to some companies, you put your question out there and it takes 2 days to get a response, or by the time that's come, it's taken up a lot of time. So coming to the Find a Pro LLC website just eliminates the wait time and then gets the efficiency going right away.
Right. So you've been in the appliance business for 16 years. We've all got appliance stories, right? You never know when they're going to break. They're expensive. They're necessary. What are some of the common mistakes you see homeowners make that would make their appliances last longer?
I would say if we were to talk, basically, let's just start with a refrigerator. Everybody has a refrigerator, right? So I was having a conversation with someone earlier who was saying, I had a repairman come out and it ended up being low on Freon, and I got a new one. So to keep in mind, most manufacturers, I believe most still have this, they have a 5-year sealed system warranty. So if you're within the first 5 years and you have that low gas leak, Manufacturer will send somebody out to verify it and then replace compressor, evaporator, whatever needs to be done. Fill up, refill the Freon, and now you're good to go. But then you also have to keep in mind that sometimes the parts for a refrigerator have a 10-year possibility, the compressor. So once again, manufacturer will come out, verify, you would get the part, but you have to find somebody to put the labor and to fill it up with the Freon. So those are the kind of things I think a lot of folks don't know, is to always check your warranty just for those things. Because most of the time, if it's out of warranty for a fridge, it's kind of not worth doing the seal system. But if it is in warranty, you may not necessarily know unless you have the owner's manual or that particular person checks it out for you.
Okay, well, that's a thought. One of the big things with appliances, and you've had to answer this question 5 million times, repair or replace. What would be your advice to people when you're asked that question, whether it be refrigerators, washer dryers? How do you go about saying whether they should repair it or replace it?
I will stick with the kitchen just because that's where the most investment is in your home. Most of your appliances are right there in the kitchen. So we'll just say something like a dishwasher. So I'll go out to a dishwasher. Client is saying, well, I'm not sure, I'm on the fence. I'm thinking I might want to go to this brand or that brand. And I usually like to give them the information of, hey, your kitchen's beautiful. It's got all this lovely stainless steel. If you're going to go somewhere, you might want to stay in the same family. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because of the tone of stainless. And they said, what do you mean? I said, if you start mixing and matching, you will see a difference in that stainless. Even though it's all stainless steel, there are different tones for different manufacturers. I always let them know what the price will be to fix it. We have a conversation. If you do want to replace it, I always recommend staying with the same family so everything looks seamless.
Okay, that's interesting.
Have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
Now, which families do you think are more reliable than others? I know Consumer Reports is out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about somebody who's repaired everything for 16 years. What do you have in your house?
Mm-hmm.
That might be one question.
There you go. At my house, it's Whirlpool, actually. It's all Whirlpool. And I don't want to say anything bad about any of the manufacturers, but I can say this. I can tell you it has the lowest failure rate that I've seen over time. So basically, any of the Whirlpool family, Whirlpool actually owns Maytag, Whirlpool, and a couple other manufacturers. Then you have your Electrolux, which owns Frigidaire and things of that nature. So it's all about, if you're looking for reliability, I would say the ones I see the least would be like your Whirlpool family. Also has KitchenAid underneath their blanket there. Electrolux is a great brand. But I would say if you're thinking, it's kind of, you say that because for different appliances, there's different manufacturers. Like if you're going to get a dishwasher, I always recommend a Bosch. It's pretty much what their staple appliance is. They're right in New Bern, North Carolina, is where they make their dishwashers and get them out there. So those are the products that I like to say had the least failure and you're going to be most satisfied with.
All right. And I've heard Whirlpool before. You're not the first person to talk about and that's kind of neat because they've been in it for forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, Whirlpool's been around for over 100 years, I think.
A long time.
Yeah. So, well, that's kind of neat. What are there things that mistakes you see homeowners make, not in just like that they may bring on a repair because they did something that's fairly common that you would tell people don't do?
Yeah, I mean,
overload the washing machine. I don't know. Yeah. Overload the refrigerator. I have no idea. I'm just thinking of things.
Speaking about laundry, yes, that can happen. I personally, in my home, I have a Speed Queen, which is a really great brand.
That's what I have in my house.
There you go, Speed Queen. Very reliable. It's a great brand. 25 years worth of service in it. Depending on what series you get, you do get extended warranty. So there's a 3 series for 3 years warranty, full warranty. There's a 5 series and a 7 series, which have corresponding warranties as well. But I would say if we were to speak about laundry, the biggest thing is overloading. In a top loader, it's not as severe as a front loader. Now, a front loader is, just like you see in the laundromats. You don't want to shove it all the way full, put your knee in it, kick it and get it kind of all in there because all that weight is going to make a difference on the tub itself. So when you're doing the top load, it's kind of going this way and it gets a little swayed. It will either auto-correct or you can take some clothes out and correct it. With a front loader, it's just going like this. So the more weight you have in there, the more stress it's putting on that inner basket. and eventually it will give way. I've seen it as soon as 6 months just from folks using a residential front loader like it's actually a commercial.
Huh, that's interesting. Well, I've never thought about that. What
Mhm.
about dryers? Anything you can do to make dryers last longer?
Clean the lint trap. I mean, that's number one. Dryers are really basic. No matter what brand you get or manufacturer, dryers are the most basic things that you can learn on and things you can have in your home that will last the longest. Not a whole lot of parts going on there, not a whole lot of things going, but the biggest thing for a dryer is please clean that lint trap, because if you don't, there are some fuses in there, the thermal fuse, things of that nature. What happens is if that heat builds up and it does blow the thermal fuse, usually you have no heat. Sometimes on some brands, it's just dead altogether. It won't even you press power and nothing. So keeping that lint trap always clean, and also having your ducts clean for dryers too. They recommend every 18 months to 2 years. I would say, depending on use. If you're having a little run from your wall right outside, you can check it every year or whatever. But if you have a long run where you're going from one side of the house to the other, or which you sometimes go straight up, that's when you find bird nests and things like that sometimes. But when it goes straight up or out in a long run, you want to have somebody professionally come out and clean that out. At least I would say 18 months would probably be the max.
All right. Refrigerators.
The biggest thing on refrigerators is the bells and whistles. So some folks might remember out there where they had the refrigerators with the televisions on them.
Yeah.
And you had the televisions on them. You could watch TV while you were, I don't know, looking at your refrigerator. I never really got where they did that. And the issue with that is years ago, we'll just say Samsung, right? Samsung had a TV on the door. The funny thing was you could have a Samsung certified person come out, but they also had to be certified in television to work on it. So you can go out there for a refrigeration issue that turns out to be a television issue, and now you're running back and forth with text. Now, some companies have techs that can do both. Some do, some don't. So that was kind of the strangest thing I saw. And they even have fridges now, the higher end, like Sub-Zero, you can actually see right through this, has a glass partition. So refrigeration, just not a lot of bells and whistles. Simplicity is bliss on a refrigerator. Some folks want to have, it's just the bells and the whistles, really. Just your basic refrigerator. If you don't need turbo cool, if you don't need all these crazy things, just stick to the basics and you'll have longevity.
Well, I tell you what, I bought a refrigerator that has a double ice maker, and I'm in love. I'm in love with the refrigerator because now I'm never out of ice because I've got an ice maker at the bottom, I got an ice maker in the door. It's great. I had a friend recommend that to me, and so I would highly recommend the double ice maker for anybody, especially if you got kids and everything, and you host gatherings at your house and their friends are there, or like you're never going to run out of ice with a double ice maker. You don't have to go buy bags of ice at the grocery store as much anymore. So I'm a big fan of the double ice maker in my new refrigerator I got a few years ago. Well, cool. So how would people reach out? It's findaprollc.com. Is there a phone number? Is it just a website?
It's just the website. It makes it easy. All you got to do is just like you said, go to www.findaprollc.com. Goes right to our landing page. Just need a name, phone number, email address, and the scope of work, and we'll get you connected with the right professional to come out and take care of it for you.
Well, that's great. Last question we ask everybody on this podcast: what do you love most about Johnston County?
The people and the sense of community.
I would agree with that. The people are the best.
People are really great. Coming from New York down here, I didn't really know what to expect because New York is kind of tough. Everybody, kind of has that New York feel. So I didn't know. When I came down here, I did enjoy the move. And like I said, we've been here for over 12 years and we love the community.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's what everybody says. They love the people, the community of Johnston County. We'd like to thank Chet Hardaway of findaprollc.com. So if you need appliance or tradesman, whether it be plumbing or HVAC or general contractors or anybody like that, go to findaprollc.com, fill out the form. Chet has an entire team working with him of people that he's vetted, that he knows does good work, that he's going to stand behind to help you out. And you won't just have to rely on Google. Like I said before, please like, follow, subscribe to this podcast wherever you see it, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, or any of the other social media channels of the Best Johnston County Podcast. Give us a 5-star review down below. That'll help raise our visibility so more people be made aware of the Best Johnston County Podcast. And also tag us in your Instagram stories, Best of Johnston County. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.